Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to another episode of Tea Talk with Owen. I hope you're fine and doing well. Please let me know in the chat where you are from and grab a cup of tea or coffee and relax as we talk about life. This time, I'm going to talk about an interesting topic called overthinking. Overthinking. Friends, let me be very honest out here. Let me be very honest out here. At a very young age, I was guilty of overthinking. For those who know me very well, and for those who do not know me, it's perfectly fine. I lost my father at the age of 19, and my mother was just a housewife. Now, just imagine at the age of 19, it's a very critical juncture for any young boy to decide his future course of life. And I was reasonably good in academics. So, being from a middle class family and being one among five children, it was really tough to think about what's going to happen in the future. And there I suffered with a high dose of overthinking. Closer to home, yesterday, I've got two daughters, Lisa and Victoria. And for those who are a little bit familiar in Europe, you know that every day we celebrate a name day. Believe me, it's not a birthday, it's a name day. And if you go into the calendars of Slovakia, yesterday was Victoria. So we celebrated Victoria's name day. She was excited, and I went to pick them up at school. It was a beautiful sunny day. So I parked my car outside the school, and suddenly both my daughters came rushing in because we decided to enjoy the weather going in for an ice cream. So both of them were very excited, especially the little one, because she was joined by her friend called Martina. So I picked their bags from their shoulders and then just put it in the car, and off we went to have ice cream. So later on in the evening, suddenly we found out that one haversack, which Lisa basically takes to school, they take a big bag with a lot of books, their tiffin box, and their water bottles. And at the same time, they also take a haversack just in case to change clothes in the afternoon if they want to go outside or play. So we found out that Lisa's haversack is missing. And Lisa was very confident that she carried it with her at the point of entering my car. So I said, Lisa, are you very sure? She said, Dad, I'm very sure. So all the way I went back to my car and I checked every part of the car, but that haversack was missing. So I came home and I told, the haversack is not there. And there, my little daughter Lisa started overthinking for the rest of the evening. She was not in herself. She was constantly thinking, where could the bag go? Have we lost it? Did she drop it on the street? Did somebody pick up? Now, the haversack was actually having her uniforms and, of course, her sporting outfit. At 11 o'clock in the night, of course, that was not 11 o'clock, it was around 10:30 because we were watching a good film. I could see Lisa, I could see the energy, I could see the sadness on her face, I could see the anxiety of her thinking about where was her lost haversack with her uniform inside. So it was clearly a case of overthinking because at that point of time, friends, we couldn't do anything. We were not in control. We never knew where the bag could be. We never knew that if we had lost, or my daughter could have forgotten in one of her locker rooms. Hi, Peter. Hi, Kailash. Nice to see you. If there are anybody else on this call, please just type your name and let me know where you are from. And welcome again. So, friends, what could be this overthinking? It's human nature to think through when making a decision or evaluating a situation. However, as I said, overthinking can cause a lot of anxiety, especially when we cannot get out of our head. Thinking is the highest capability of a human being. Good, it's good to think, but overthinking, as you and I know, anything in excess is bad. So let's try to capture what this overthinking could be. Nice to see you, Manoj. According to me, overthinking is the habit of thinking too much and for too long about something. I repeat, the habit of thinking too much and for too long about something. Now let's focus on the word something, and that makes overthinking of two types. Overthinking or dwelling on something of the past, overthinking or worrying something about the future. So, needless to say, in both cases, you either think of the past or you think or worry of the future. You ruin the present, which is so very important, to stay in the present, to enjoy the moment, which is never going to return. The past is never a place of residence. It could be a place of reflection, but never a place of residence. And the future, as you and I know, is absolutely a mystery. Nobody knows about tonight, nobody knows about tomorrow. Yes, we live on hope, but thinking too much about the future is is worrying, and it's called overthinking. In other words, you can also consider overthinking as the art of creating new problems out of the ones that never existed. For me, I can compare overthinking to a rocking chair. As we all know, worrying is like a rocking chair. Though it keeps us occupied, it doesn't take us anywhere. But as friends, you and I know, overthinking happens to all of us at some point of time in our lives. So let's see how exactly we can come out of this habit of overthinking. So, what have I prepared for you today? I've prepared for you what happens when you overthink. Now, the effects of overthink only can come into the picture once you realize that you are actually overthinking. So you need to be aware of the fact that when you are thinking less, and when you are thinking too much on something that you cannot control about. In fact, it could also be a case of a medical challenge where you could actually require therapy when you're constantly overthinking or worrying about something and ignoring the present. So you need to be very careful. So what are the effects of overthinking? The first effect of overthinking is what we call analysis paralysis. Friends, overthinking creates so many options, choices, and the scenarios that you end up confused. You end up not able to make a choice. Now, as you know, choices define, or choices are the hinges of our destiny, and choices also have a result, the consequence. So when when you're constantly thinking over and over again with so much of possibilities, and it just stops you in your shoes, and there you are frozen, stuck, not able to move, yet constantly thinking, which I believe is some sort of a paralysis. So the first effect of overthinking is that you may subject yourself to analysis paralysis. How many of you all agree with me? Too much of choices results in too much of options that we have, which results in too much of thinking about which course of action to take, and maybe we end up thinking too much that results in paralysis. Now what happens then is that you expose yourself to mental fatigue, and mental fatigue is something that causes a lot of other side effects. A lot of other side effects. Now, what could these side effects of mental fatigue be? The first thing happens when you are mentally stressed out is that your sleep is impacted. You suffer from something called insomnia. Now, what is this insomnia? Now, this insomnia is this over analyzing can be arousing, especially when the thoughts are more of anxiety. Now, this can pull you out of a peaceful, soothing state that your body needs to be in sleep, in a good state of sleep. Now, friends, you know that the sleep is so important for our body and mind to re-energize. So there is some deep sleep, there is light sleep, there is rapid eye movement sleep. All these sleep basically helps us to re-energize, to remain active, to execute the normal functionings of the day. So if you're overthinking, you have mental stress, and undoubtedly it will result in insomnia, which means to say that you are either going to suffer from lack of sleep or disturbed sleep. Now, this in turn has got another impact which will bring down your energy levels drastically. Now, friends, it takes a lot of mental energy to overthink. It is like opening multiple pages in your web browser, and soon you find that your computer is slowing down or may even get heated. So definitely there is an impact on your output levels. Peter says, true, have experienced myself. In the beginning, it seems you could evaluate all the choices and plan out, but it becomes totally uncontrollable later down the line. You're spot on, Peter, and thank you for the contribution. So, what am I trying to tell you is that the effects of overthinking can result in drop in energy levels, which means to say that you get up in the morning and instead of being full of energy, you find yourself weak, intimidated, anxious as to how exactly, it's only in the morning, how exactly am I going to go through all the things, all the challenges of life? And it's just the first part of the day. So check whether you're suffering from a lack of good sleep. And another effect, which is obvious, that comes out from excessive thinking or overthinking is eating disorders. Here, it might cause a loss of appetite, or it could be something that you long for higher levels of food or increased appetite. So we tend to binge eat, we tend to eat junk food, and depending upon that, suddenly we find out that we are basically attracted to unhealthy food habits that are not good for our health. So, where did it all start? It all started in the mind because of overthinking. And then suddenly you find out that your body is impacted because of your thought processes. So, you've seen that it causes stress, mental fatigue, insomnia, and of course, eating disorders with tremendous drop in energy levels. So, there is nothing good about overthinking. Kailash, my friend, says, agreed, analysis paralysis leads to planning but leaves little time and energy for execution of plan. Thank you so much, Kailash. Please feel free to write a comment or two just in case from your experience in the chat box. Now, we have identified a problem. We've come to a conclusion that excessive thinking, or for that matter, anything in excess, is bad. So, what do you do? So, as I said before, we have identified a problem. Let's see if we can put some ways, some ways in order to solve. Four effective ways that you can avoid overthinking. And check if you are suffering from overthinking. Try as much as possible to use one of these ways in order to come out of the problem of overthinking. The first, according to me, is get out of your head. Difficult as it may seem, friends, I encourage you this time to find a distraction. As a coach, I always focus on helping people to focus on their task. I tell them, hey, listen, you got to focus, laser type focus. Now this time I'm asking you to find a distraction, for the simple reason is that whatever you focus on expands. I repeat, whatever you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on thinking and thinking and thinking and finding solutions and not enjoying the present, focused on the past, worried about the future, and you're not able to come out of the mess that you have created to excessive thinking, find a distraction. Now, what this could be? This could be doing some activity, even if it means try your hand at cooking, just to take away your attention from excessive thinking. Or try sketching. If not, take a walk, enjoy nature. If not, try something different than being in the state of continuous thinking. Try out something, watch a movie, okay, even clean your apartment or fold your clothes or even iron your clothes. It would definitely help. Find a distraction. Now, there is a good technique out here where you will see that you have to intentionally make it a point to get out of the continuous cycle of thinking without coming out with a solution, which definitely is going to affect your health. Try as much as possible to find a distraction, call a friend, ask for help. The second one is be mindful of the present. As I told you, it could be two kinds of overthinking. One, where you're dwelling in your past of whatever things that have gone in your past. It could be a loss, it could be a failure, it could be a broken relationship, it could be a lost opportunity, it could be sacking from your present job, or it could be even loss or bankruptcy. Or you could be worrying about what next, about the future, what happens post COVID, what happens to me, will I find a job, will I be able to pay my debts, and so on and so forth. So what are you doing is that you're killing the joy of being in the present. So here I would ask you to experiment this small but very effective exercise. You can even do it right now with me if it's possible. So keep your right hand towards your chest so that you could feel your heart, and then put your left hand towards your belly, just around your belly button or a little bit over. Close your eyes and take a deep breath and exhale. Do it 5 times and do it 3 times over the day. And suddenly you will understand, or you could even feel, or you could even hear your heartbeat and your essential organs where you're touching your body work. And how do they work? Now, I'm not going to go into the biology of all these things, but I'm just telling you that deep breathing would help you stay in touch with yourself. Now, there is another important method which I call the 5 4 3 2 1, which is being able to use your senses in a way in which it helps you to be in the present. Here, actually, what it does is that it helps you reframe your thoughts. And just as thoughts remain thoughts and not facts, don't go into the nitty gritty of things. So the 5 4 3 2 1 helps you bring back your mind to the present using your senses. And we all know that we have got 5 senses: the sense of sight, the sense of sound, the sense of touch, the sense of smell, and the sense of taste. Now, what does this 5 4 3 2 1 mean? The first step is to identify 5 things that you can see. Wherever you are, just move around and enjoy the presence of being there at the moment by looking or by seeing or by observing 5 things that you can see. That's the 5. Then next, find four things that you can hear. Just remain in a moment of peace and silence and just hear. It could be the birds chirping, or it could be your neighbors screaming, or it could be a dog barking on the street, or it could be a car roaring, or it could be a motorcycle making a lot of noise, or it could be some woman walking with high heel toes. Just hear four things, followed by three things that you can feel. Extend your hand, touch something that you can. Okay, so it could be anything. Three things that you can feel, followed by two things that you can smell, and one thing that you can taste. Now, all these are using your faculties, and suddenly you find out that you're living in the moment, seeing, touching, feeling, sensing, hearing, and smelling. So try this out just to come out of overthinking. We want to break the cycle of overthinking, constantly being worried about the future or dwelling into the past. So the second way is be mindful of the present. Kailash says, I mean, relieving. Thank you. He says that my distraction is stock markets. Wow. Nothing is more relieving than making profits on the basis of calculated risk. For that, you need to have thinking, not overthinking. Now, the third way is practice self compassion and self awareness. Dwelling on your past mistakes keeps you from holding on to something rather than letting it go. Friends, you can't control what you can't control. Accept the way you are and move on. For this, I've got a formula or a remedy. You need to learn to release things. Release, let go, and let God. Forgive and forget. When you forgive, it is you who are benefiting. Though it's difficult to forget, but you can still forgive and forgive that person or anything that has happened before to its highest good, and see how light you become in your spirit. So release, reach out to something that can fill in that void of those self-doom cycle of constantly thinking about your past. Release, reach for something good, for something better, for something positive. And number three, remain at that new level so that you have new things and new hope of finally saying the past is gone. Friends, you and I know the graves just stink. So let go and let God do the rest. So practice self compassion. Learn to forgive yourself also in the process. We are all perfectly made imperfect. We are bound to fail. And as I said last time, failure is an event and not you. Losing is an event and you're not a loser. So let go and let God. And finally, number four is maintain a thought jar. Now, what is this thought jar? I always encourage you to journal your thoughts. This is some place where you can post your thoughts, write it down. That way, you won't need to hold on to them. So instead of keeping your thoughts in your head, you're putting it on paper, and you're basically transferring all those challenges in your mind through excessive thinking onto paper, so that one day you will look at it in the future and say, oh my God, I was so stupid to think about these things, and these things were never in existence at that time, and why did I think so much? So maintain a thought jar. Neville said, I was a bit late, we'll catch up with the recording, it's fine. Edwin, my friend and my cousin brother in Toronto, says, forgive and forget. Very true. Difficult as it might seem, don't be a slave to overthinking. So, what have we just learned? We have just learned four effective ways to avoid thinking. Get out of your head, find a distraction. Be mindful of the present. Learn to breathe deeply. Learn to use your five senses and use them in the order of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It doesn't matter in any order, but then see that it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 so that you enjoy the present. Practice self compassion and self awareness. Learn to forgive and forget. Learn to be patient and kind to yourself. And finally, journal or maintain a thought jar. If you have got any comments, I would like to read it out and I would like to share with those people who are going to watch in the future on YouTube or Facebook, or even for those who I can just read your comments in the comment section and share your thoughts with me. So share your thoughts with the audience. So feel free. Now, as a final thought, this is my request to you. Stop overthinking. It doesn't take you anywhere. It just destroys being in the present. And you know, the word present itself talks about a gift. Most of the time, we are anxious about the future and we are regretful about the past. So stop thinking. Simply stop thinking. How do you do that? Don't let minor issues turn into significant hurdles. Now, let me say something out here. With the experience that I carry, I've come to a realization that life is simple. Listen to me very carefully. I never said life is easy. Life is simple, but to keep it simple is difficult. I repeat, life is simple, but to keep it simple is difficult. And you and I know that there is power in simplicity. So just don't overthink. You cannot control what you cannot control. Pause. Practice pausing. Pause your mind to pause your panic. Take a break. Relax. Everything is going to be fine. This COVID also will go away someday. Thanks for watching. Remember, the win is always within you. I'm here to help you be victorious. I believe in you, and I believe together we can. Take care, stay safe. I'll see you on Thursday, same time, same place. Bye for now.